Are you trying to create something repeatable from some kind of a template that you build inside of Airtable? For example, maybe you have 3 different types of projects, and each project has its own unique set of tasks. And sure, you could build an automation 3 different times, but wouldn't it be easier if you had one automation that could create all your tasks for any different type of new project that was created? Well, a similar example is exactly what we're going to be covering in this video. I'm going to show you how you can use automation in Airtable so that when you make changes to your little template in the system, it will automatically update your automations to create new records. So if that's of interest, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth. I am the owner here at Gap Consulting, and it's our mission to help you get organized and automated with no-code tools. At the forefront of our favorite no-code tools is Airtable, and that is exactly what I'm going to be covering here in today's video. But before I get into the heart of things, I want to first invite you to join me for the Airtable Crash Course that we have built for you if you are looking to make sure that you know all the fundamental pieces of Airtable. So all those key features, whether you are a new user or a seasoned veteran, you could probably benefit from a little bit of a brush up. Go ahead and grab that absolutely free crash course at garethpronovost.com/airtable-crash-course. I will be sure to include links wherever you found this video. But we have got to talk about the core and the heart of today's topic, and that is about focusing on how we can create some sort of records through an automation. And we don't want to have to go into the automation and make updates every time something changes to our process. It would be way better if we had some ability to create new records based on some kind of a template that we create, and our automation then looks at that template and creates things accordingly. Now, I know this might seem a little obscure, but there are plenty of use cases for this. And in fact, I get this question over and over again. Most recently, when we put out a video talking about record templates in Airtable. Record templates are an amazing solution. If you haven't already checked out that video, you might consider doing that. But the thing I want to highlight is you have to create that record template manually. So if you make a change to your process, you have to go into that template to alter the template in order to reflect the new changes to your process. And the way that I'm going to show you here today, the technique that I'm going to be highlighting, does not require you to go in and remap the automation, remap the template. In fact, all you have to do is drop 1 or 2 little records in, improve or update your existing system, and then all new stuff that's created through the automation after that is going to reflect the changes to your process. Let's jump into the example that I have in mind, and we'll go step by step. Let's imagine for our case that we have projects. I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new table here called projects. And I'm going to link my projects to tasks. Now, there's a lot more information that I could include here. I'm not going to go too far in the weeds, other than to delete all of those excess fields that are here when we start a new table. And I'm just going to call these projects project 1, project 2, project 3. All right, now let's imagine that projects link to tasks. So we're going to create a new blank table here, and we're going to call it tasks. So there it is. And we will link these 2 things together. So let's delete these fields as well. And we can imagine a scenario where every project has a certain number of tasks. So we can come in here, build that link to projects. Let's go to projects here. I am connecting tasks to projects. Every single task will link to one project because a task is done on behalf of one specific project. So I toggle off multiple records. But over here on the other side of the equation, where we now have the link to tasks because a link is reciprocal, well, on this side we say a project can have multiple tasks. So we will continue to allow them to be multiple links here and save this up. Now, on this, we might have different types of projects. So let's imagine that we have a few different types, and we will go with a single select field. In fact, to keep our example simple, I'll just go with 2. So I'm going to have project type 1, and I'll have project type 2. And you could, of course, have as many different types as you want. You could build many different rules around this whole thing. I am just using type as a way of differentiating between different styles or types of projects. So the key takeaway is going to be that every time we create a new project, depending on the type of project that we signify, certain tasks will be created for that project type. So let's go ahead and create this field. And we could imagine that this particular one is project type 1, this one is type 2, this one is type 1. So we would imagine then that when we automatically create tasks, they will be similar for project 1 and project 3, where we might have completely different tasks for project 2 because of the fact that it's a different type. To make this stand out even more, I will come in here and drill into a different color so that it's really obvious that these are different types of projects. All right. Now for the next step. How can we build this? Well, we want to start with yet another table for our particular example, and we will call this our task template. And I'm going to go ahead and save this up. Again, delete all those extra fields that come in automatically when we create a new table. And we are going to build here a type just as we did for our projects on the other table. So over here, if you recall, we had a type of project. Well, here we are assigning these tasks to a type. And remember that the tasks are part of the template. So we can come in with a single select field here. And again, I can replicate the two types that I had before. I've got type 1, and I will create type 2. And let's, go back and make these match. I'll pick the same yellow color. So I will have a template for type 1, and I will have a template for type 2. Also note that if we want to make this even a little bit cleaner, rather than using this single select field and creating the same single select field in two different places, because remember, we created it here, we called it type, we worried about the color, we also created it back here in projects, right? Rather than doing that, what if instead we build a fourth table and we call it type? Now that we have this single select field here, I can actually complete this even easier by going in here and saying link to another record, and I don't yet have this table, so I'll create a new table and I will call this project type. And now it is going to automatically create a new table here called type. And over here, we see that we have the types 1 and 2 that we already had in our single select field. So check this out. Now we can go over to project as well and remap this. Rather than having it be a single select, I will again say link to another record, link to the type table. And technically I should turn this off because a project can only be one type at a time. Similarly, on the task template, I'll want to turn this off as well because a particular template in my task template will only link to one type at a time. All right, so hopefully this makes sense so far. We're going to go ahead and confirm the change and plop into our types over here and just verify that I've got the two different types. And we see that they're linked to live projects, but they're also linked to our template table that exists inside of Airtable. So let's go ahead and build out the template a little bit. I've got the ability here to group by this field, and I can also apply an order. So let's go ahead and drop this in. I'll use a number field here. I'll remove the decimals and just make it integers, and I will sort by this order so that we can go in order of the types here. So I'll say this is 1. So imagine inside of this particular project type. So inside of project type 1, whatever that is, maybe we are selling something in a very specific way or offering a service, whatever is aligned with our type 1. Well, maybe we have 3 specific tasks that occur inside of that project type. So I can build them here in my template, and I'll go ahead and map those out 1, 2, 3 on the order. And here on the name is where I can just bring them in. So I can say something like, this is task 1, this is task 2, and task 3. Okay, easy enough. Now I'm going to remove this empty one here. And maybe for the second type of projects that we work on, we have 5 different steps. So let me just go ahead and create some more steps here and number them up really quickly. And you see that those are kind of getting sorted in order. And let's go ahead and name these up. We're going to start with task 4 in this case to note that it's different from these 3 tasks. And I'll have task 5, task 6, task 7, and finally task 8 here. All right. So depending on the type of project, then we want to create these tasks, and we want to create them here in the live tasks table. So let's go ahead and remove these tasks here. And I can include these additional variables here when I'm building this. By additional variables, I mean maybe I want to bring in the order, Or maybe I want to have something like a due date, or I want to assign it to somebody, or any other number of variables. I've established that variable here in the template. This is where I'm saying the order of the thing in the template. I could assign it to somebody, I could assign dates, etc. What I want is for the output to be reflected here, and I'm going to bring that order in. I'm going to bring in whoever it's getting assigned to. I'm going to bring in whatever due date I have. All of those variables can be ported over from the template when we build the automation. So let's get to the automation. What's that going to look like? Well, from a project's perspective, we want the automation to run anytime we have a new project here that does not already have tasks. Because if it already has tasks, obviously we don't want to create more. And that project has to have a name. And lastly, it has to have a type assigned to it. If we don't know what type of project it is, we can't create tasks for that project because we don't know what type of tasks we need to create. So that's what we need to build now in our automation. I go into my automations panel and I'm going to say when a record matches conditions. So that record is going to live in our projects table as I just described. The conditions are the name is not empty. The name must exist. That way we know it's a valid new project. And the tasks is empty, right? If we have tasks already, we don't want to perform the automation. And lastly, we will say that the type is not empty. The type must exist, otherwise we won't be able to find out what it is. So let's choose a record. Here we go. We've got 3 different projects that currently match that criteria. So I'll assign this one. So now we're using that in the next step. Now it's time to perform a loop. I need to find records first in my Airtable template here that match certain conditions, because then I'm going to start performing the creation of the tasks over and over. So I say find records. And what am I doing? Well, I'm finding records in the task template. And how am I choosing to find them? Well, it's based on a condition, right? The condition being that the type here, the project type inside of my task template is the same, right, as the one that we just found in our trigger. So let's switch over to dynamic here, move over to the side, and I need to say is exactly what we found in the other one. So again, remember, we're looking at project type here. So here's the type. Drill in here and bring in that record ID. So if I use this, let's go ahead and test that action, and we will find a list of all of the different types here that occur inside of our task template. This is performing a search in our task template and returning anything from the template that has the project type that matches what initiated the automation. So now that we have that, now it's time to perform that last step, which is to create that record, and it will be in a loop, or as Airtable calls it, a repeating group, which says we are going to run the same action on every item in a list, and we have a list because we just found it right here. So let's go. Repeating group right here, and we are going to repeat in each for no list selected. Well, let's select an input list. We are selecting the list of records that we found here in the find step that we just performed. Bring that in here. And now what are we going to do? Well, we're going to repeat an action for that for every record that we found there. So let's build that out. We're going to create a live version from our template. So our template was in our tasks template. We want to create an actual record inside of our tasks table. So I say create record in my tasks table. What am I going to create for these? Well, I need to name the task. How am I going to know the name? Well, I have that information from my current item from the list of records, and I can use the name. Because remember, this name is coming from the template that we built in our third table. Now, in addition to this, we want to link it to the project. What project is it? Well, the project is what triggered the automation. So I don't want to be highlighting the current item. I want to go back to records matching a certain condition here. This is the step where I had the project ID, and I can use the record ID right there. Now, what's the last variable here? The order number. How do I know the order number? Well, if I switch over to dynamic variables here, I can flip in and I can say on the current item, whatever we're looking at, remember we're looping through the items in the template. On whatever current item I'm on, take the order number of that particular item. So if it's task 1, it's going to be order 1. If it's task 2, it's going to be order 2. Task 3, order 3, etc. So we've built this out. That's how I can grab all those variables from my template and we can run this. Now let's look at a preview. Did we map everything correctly? It's saying in order to preview this, I would test the following. I would have to create new record, which is going to include data from the previous step where we're going to have to test all of it. Okay, let's do it. Show me what you got. Here it goes, testing in progress. It would create this. It would say, I'm creating a task 3 attached to project 1, order 3. But keep in mind, it would do this for every task that it found in the list. So this looks right. We are going to go ahead and turn on our automation, and now we're going to take it out and test it out a little bit. Let's flip back to our data and see what it does. Now, in order to test the automation, first we have to make our record meet the conditions again. So just because we turn the automation on doesn't mean it's going to perform for any record that currently matches that condition. We have to reinitiate it. So here I've gone in and deleted the type that was assigned here because I need to reassign the type, which will reawaken the automation. Remember, our conditions are a name must exist, the tasks must be empty, and a type must be assigned. So when I assign a type, what's going to happen? The automation is going to see this. It's going to go into my tasks template, and it's going to find all of the types that are associated with type 1. And then it's going to recreate those tasks here inside of my tasks table and assign them to the projects here as well. So we're going to go ahead and sit back and let the automation do its thing. We'll come right back when it's done. All right, that automation took a minute to run, but it's because Airtable, as of my filming, is currently under maintenance. Normally this would happen in just a few seconds. So here we are, we have created now the 3 tasks. You'll notice that they're out of order the way they were created. It depends on the order in which they were found in the automation itself. But we can go into our tasks table now, and if we sort by the order, or similarly, you could sort by the due date or any other variable that you brought in, now we see the tasks assigned to project 1 and their order. So if we needed to make a change, maybe we add a step to this particular process. Well, if we have a new step inside of project 1, all we need to do is go into our task template. Here we are in our task template, and if I want to add something, a new task, to project 1, type 1, right? I come in here and I say task 4, and I simply make the adjustment here. I add a 4th step, which will soon be sorted to the bottom, just like that. And so now I have 4 tasks associated with this particular type of project. And if I create a new project assigned to type 1, again, we have to reinitiate those conditions for the automation to run. Well then, now we have created 4 different tasks. You see the 4th new task being created here through our automation. If we flip into our actual tasks, these are our live tasks. We can also group by the project here. And we now see that when we ran it for project 1, which was type 1, it only created the 3 different tasks. When we ran the same automation for project 3, which is also type 1, well, it created 4 tasks because of the fact that we added to our template. So there you are, the ability to upgrade your systems and processes live in your template and have them instantly reflected in your automation thanks to this repeating automation. I know we covered a lot in this video and went kind of fast, so if you have questions, be sure to drop them below. And if you want to stay on top of more no-code news like this, be sure you subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, keep on building.